All right. So today we're going to cover purchasing technologies, which is basically purchasing software. This section's a little dated because this was written in 2018 or 2017. Identify and implement technologies to support supply management. So business process design. Current technology can alter the sourcing process, but in practice, I have not found that it does. These tools can improve the availability of information and reduce cycle time. That much is true. They do not replace all interaction with the suppliers. You will still need to pick up the phone and talk to them on a regular basis. So if you got a problem with that, you're not going to do too well in purchasing. Methodologies for selection, implementation, adoption by the organization. So assessment of current systems. There's the as is and the future state. It's required for software. Got to know where you're headed. Identify the gap. Determine the total cost. The software and IT systems architecture. Do you have to add a bunch of servers? Are you going to go on the cloud? What's that going to cost? Determine the ROI for the implementation. And PACCAR is big on ROIs, but trying to get an ROI for software implementation, it's like, well, how many people can you lay off when you implement this software? Well, none. All right, your ROI is negative then. Also looking at moving spreadsheet tracking systems into ERP and what savings that could incur. So trying to get a positive ROI. You know, we do a lot of this tracking with spreadsheets, and we cut out that labor. And what's that? What's the value of that? Also a value for being able to find analyses quickly without having to search and find out who was on this desk 5 years ago. And once a positive ROI has been achieved, create a budget and a project plan to implement the changes. Market analysis. What is available for purchasing technology? What are current trends as of 2018? Solution coverage, variety of solution. This is all software. You have to determine which one. So you got things that will do specification management. We use Windchill, it's one of them. The requisition process, sourcing, that is it Ariba that SAP owns? We'll do some more fancy stuff than GPPS. Negotiations, there's a lot of software for that, but that's easily done on a Word document. I'll show you later. Contract management. You need a database to hold the contracts and flag you when they're expiring. Order management, that's all done by sales. Receipt, this is done by materials at the plant, so we don't have to worry about it. Payment, AP, and supplier evaluation. So all these things are generally linked together, and that's kind of what SAP is doing. But everybody has their own little add-on they'd like to put on because SAP is not user-friendly. Organization needs, consider the type need, tactical, content related. Does the system need to be collaborative with the supply base? And if so, how are you going to secure it? Also consider internal and external stakeholders and how will potential systems match and link with current systems. So supplier types that provide software. These are the suppliers that provide software. So once you identify the software tool you need, determine what type of software supplier you want to use. Large comprehensive system like SAP or Oracle. Third-party single source that integrates into SAP or Oracle, which there's a million of, depending on what you're looking for. Pro purchaser or a few other things will link into SAP. E-business solutions. Evaluate suppliers on the following criteria. These are the software suppliers. Capabilities of the software tool. Does it do everything you need it to do? And then technical. What are the requirements to run the software efficiently? I've seen a lot of smaller firms that will get these fancy software packages and they don't have the server horsepower. The thing's just slow as death. Architecture, operating system, server requirements, cloud-based host, scalability, and disaster recovery. And then general business says the following from the software supplier. What's the supplier's rep out in the marketplace? What's their customer base, their experience, and what do their financials look like? Pricing information should provide visibility into areas such as development cost, because you always hear from the software supplier that they have to cover their development costs. Okay, well, what are they? Implementation support, licensing fees, maintenance fees, training. And you can buy a lot of this software cheap, but these annual maintenance fees are like horrendous, hundreds of thousands of dollars or millions of dollars. For cloud-based software, how much of the fee is fixed and how much is on actual usage? Switching costs and moving your data from one supplier to another. It's never easy to move your data from one supplier to another, but some are easier than others. E-sourcing tools. So this is what Ariba and Pro Purchaser and a bunch of these guys will do. They have requisition purchase order systems, and we don't use requisitions at the headquarters in Bellevue, but they do use them at the divisions for e-buys. ERFX. So the X is the wild card for RFI, RFP, RFQ. They got templates. Most of these, I mean, making a template in software is not that big a deal. Messaging systems, access to supplier login, although how you secure that is always a problem. Ability for responders to share completion responsibility across multiple resources. EDI. So this is how we broadcast our requirements to the supply base. Materials handles this at the division. It's a computer-to-computer exchange in the standard format, usually the ANSI X12 format. Transaction documents such as POs, invoices, and shipping notices are all transmitted electronically and entered into the supplier's computer or a third-party networking. So when you got a lot of POs to write, that's the way to do it, or a lot of schedules to release on a blanket. Reverse auctions, a fixed duration bidding event hosted by a single buyer. So in an actual auction, you're selling something to multiple buyers. One seller's selling something to multiple buyers. That's an auction. In a reverse auction, it's one buyer looking for bids from multiple suppliers. So it's the opposite, which comes as the term reverse auction. Suppliers offer prices. Suppliers' offers are visible to their competitors. Oftentimes they don't have to be, but if you're Walmart, that's how you do business. Requires an easily understandable and complete specification. So buying stuff that indirect buys like office products and things like that that have got very common specs. Supplier switching costs are low, and this is an option for a tactical leverage category buy. So most of our stuff is not that we buy for the trucks, is custom parts. So they don't lend themselves as well to reverse auctions. What you want are these tactical or leverage parts that have a very common spec, and then you can just throw that up there and do a reverse auction. E-design enables sharing of product designs. We use Windchill to share it. I can't remember. Pro-E, I think, is the e-design software we use at Division for the engineers. Contract creation, management, and storage. Corporate standard contract terms. I don't know if we would go that far, but we certainly need management and storage. Contract signature and approval. We already have an e-sign type of thing. E-sourcing refers to a wide variety of applications that are web-based. uses web technology and social media to identify suppliers. I haven't ever messed with any of these things that do e-sourcing for you, so I don't know how well they work. Also can include reverse auctions and electronic RFXs. They'll do a lot of stuff for a fee. Collaboration optimization, allow buyers to work with suppliers in real time to share information. Those are cool kind of systems, but they're very difficult to secure from the hackers. And then I don't know if they're still using this terminology or not, but vertical portals. Vertical portal was something like Google or Bing. Or no, Google or Bing was a horizontal portal, I'm sorry. Appeals to everyone. And the vertical portal was the narrow interest, like Pro Purchaser or purchasing.com or something like that. Buying network, person co-ops and consortiums have created online shopping portals for their members, especially if you're doing like office supplies. And then supplier evaluations. There's lots of software packages out there that gather and analyze data on potential suppliers and evaluate them. We have a more manual system, the SPM system. And a lot of this software will allow for supplier surveys. So you could send out surveys to the supply base on capacity, like we do, and things like that. But you could also send it out on how easy is PACCAR to work with? What do you like? What don't you like about us? I don't know that we'd ever do it, but you could. Procedures for managing an online event. The company needs to complete the traditional sourcing steps to precede the event. So it doesn't get rid of those steps. Category profile, define the category or the commodity, user requirements, etc. Generate supplier profiles, develop the sourcing strategy, select the implementation path, which is guided by the sourcing strategy. And then this is, determine RFP questions, develop the tool, stakeholder feedback, pre-qualified suppliers. Now, this is pretty detailed, probably more so than anybody would actually do in an online event. And then spend analysis. I don't know why they're tacking this on here, but okay. Historical spending patterns in a company, usually by commodity code. Develop a category tree. So here's some of the commodity coding systems that you could use. Common procurement vocabulary, European article number. Here's the one that we use. UN SPSC, United Nations Standard Product and Service Codes. If you're an international company, this is the one you should use. A lot of companies use this NAICS, which is the successor to the SIC codes, but that's US only. So most people will use this UNS SPSC. And that's what we use. And that's your product codes, or your commodity codes, I'm sorry. Should align with companies' needs in supply markets. Ideally, all spend will be linked in hierarchical manners. And that's what's nice about the UNSPSC codes is you've got aluminum, and then another category below that is sheet aluminum, and another category below that is, I don't know, whatever type of sheet aluminum, but they all roll up to all aluminum. Align spend with category trees, assign commodity codes to the system. We've done all this already. And refresh the data regularly. We do this on our systems. They batch every 24 hours. So here's a category tree. This is the total spend. Spend type, direct, indirect, trading goods. And then you got different packages with families, packaging, ingredients, technical materials. And then you can break those down into categories and subcategories, but they all roll up into total spend. So here's how UNSPSC works. Manufacturing components and supplies is 31 million or whatever that is. And then 313, machine forging, castings, 311. And machine open forging is 313.011, and it keeps breaking it down. Risk management tools. So you see a lot of this stuff out in the marketplace for risk management, and a lot of it's just kind of garbage. What they're doing is they're using some AI web crawler to go through the news and pull out stuff that they're interested in worldwide. But once it hits the news, it's already happened. So why would I want to pay you $500,000 a year for that software? Contractual tools, such as change of language, tools for allocating and documenting risk sharing between parties, understanding risk exposure. Now, some of the stuff that's really good in risk management is identifying tier 1, tier 2, tier 3, tier 4 suppliers. But in order to make it work, you have to have the cooperation of the supply base. And some of our suppliers will cooperate, and some of them will not. Supplier performance, what criteria to measure, which suppliers, how to communicate, because you can't measure all suppliers on everything. There's too many of them. All right. Etrium is a small startup organization providing speech recognition technology for installation in the cockpits of small aircraft. The speech recognition is integrated into GPS nav system. And because of the complex technology involved, many components are purchased from outside suppliers, with final integration technologies taking place at Etrium. Iridium. The organization has gotten bogged down in the entire order process, however, with the purchase orders taking too long to be approved and invoices languishing unpaid. Organization wishes to see how technology could improve or could provide a timelier solution. Which of the following seems to be the best solution for them to implement? What do you guys think? Not reverse auction. You can cross that one right off. EDI is probably not going to do much for them, so that's another one you could cross off. At least you C and D. And my guess would be it would be D, because this is a much broader software. Let's see what these guys say. D it is. C is incorrect because Atrium is a small startup organization and the ERP system is not warranted. Probably too big and expensive. All right, there's 8 questions out there. You guys go get on them, and we will go over answers at 2:25. So get through as many as you can. All right. So go and look at some answers here in the interest of time. Number 1 is Charlie. Reverse auctions exist primarily for tangible goods that are standardized in nature. 2 is Bravo. Most organizations using strategic sourcing will have long-term relationships with suppliers and will only need to review potential changes on a biannual basis or quarterly basis. 3 is also Bravo. Technical considerations include disaster recovery, stability architecture, etc. 4 is Delta, because tracking is future oriented and can only provide information based on multiple results. Only then can tracking be comparison done. 5 is also Delta. UCC does not regulate or have any conflicts with e-commerce. UCC being the Universal Commercial Code. 6 is Delta. A reverse auction normally expands suppliers' participation rather than restricts it. 7 is also Delta. EDI implementation is a complex project and can be lengthy. And 8 is Alpha. Creation of a category profile is normally done well in advance of the reverse auction. So they were asking you what are the steps to running a reverse auction? All right, any questions? If not, we'll talk to you guys on Monday.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks.
Thank
Have a
you.
good weekend.
Thanks.
Yeah.